Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Annie Gibson, and I'm the publisher here at Playwrights Canada Press. I'd like to welcome you all to our virtual launch and thank you for joining us. I wish we could be doing this in person, but on the bright side, doing an online launch has allowed us to gather playwrights from across the country in the same space so we can introduce you to their new books. I'd first like to acknowledge that the playwrights and I are joining you from the traditional territories, some unceded, of many nations, including those of the Inuit, the Coast Salish peoples, more specifically the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, the Cree, Nakota, Dene, and Saulteaux peoples, who care for the land in Treaty 6 territory, including the Métis, the Erie, Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Wendat peoples, the members of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, including the Kanien'kehá:ka, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Mi'kmaq people. We thank these peoples for their stewardship and for their leadership. Here in Toronto, or Takaranto, the place in the water where the trees are standing where I live, we are governed by the dish with one spoon wampum belt covenant, which asks each of us to take only what we need, leaving some for everyone else. With this in mind, I've made a donation today to the Sibäganagadi Moderate Livelihood Fishery, which will assist in maintaining treaty rights, allowing out-of-season fishing. If you'd like to contribute as well, Jessica will be posting the link in the chat with more information. I am forever grateful for the opportunity to work, play, and share stories here on Turtle Island. I would also like to take a moment to share our heartbroken anger over the rise in violent anti-Asian racism and xenophobia. In the US, we saw the horrific shooting of 8 people in Atlanta that resulted from that racism and misogyny. Here in Canada, anti-Asian hate crimes have increased by 717% in the city of Vancouver alone between 2019 and 2020, and that's only in incidents reported to the police. We stand in solidarity with our Asian friends and colleagues and reiterate our commitment to raising the voices of Asian Canadian playwrights. We've also made a donation to Butterfly, an organization that provides support, education, and information to Asian and migrant sex workers. We are grateful for the funding we receive from the Canada Council for the Arts, the Ontario Arts Council, the Department of Canadian Heritage, and Ontario Creates. Without their contributions, we wouldn't be able to bring you all of these wonderful books and host events like this one. I'd like to add a special mention for my fellow staff members, Blake Sproul and Jessica Lewis, and our board of directors. I'd be lost without this team of people working together. A few housekeeping notes for tonight. We've turned on the chat feature so you can send your praise to the playwrights. We encourage you to type in nice things about their reading. After each reading, we'll also have time for a question or two. So if you have a burning question for any of our readers, now is your chance to ask. Either during their reading or shortly thereafter, you can type your questions for that playwright into the Q&A portal at the bottom of your screen. I will read the questions aloud so we'll all be able to hear them and give the playwrights a chance to respond. We've also created a document with the excerpt text so you can follow along if you like. Jessica will also post that link in the chat. And you'll notice that we have ASL interpretation tonight, thanks to the delightful Wendy Kirk. And now, I would like to introduce you to our first reader of the evening, Michael Grant, who will be reading from Bare Bare Bones. Michael is an award-winning playwright who began writing out of necessity. He needed a script about maple syrup. Since then, he has gone on to write 5 one-act and 6 full-length plays, which have been produced across Canada. His first full-length play, Hamish, is part of the Grassroots Play Anthology. His third play, Shorthanded, received the Stage West Comedy Award in 2012. Other titles include Suburban Standoff and Shorthanded, A Ladies' Game. He lives in Elmira, Ontario, with his wife, Sherry, and his 3 children. Michael, take it away.
Thanks, Annie, and thanks to PCP and everybody, Jessica and Blake, especially for making me sound smarter than I really am. I'd like to take a chance to thank my family, my parents, my lovely wife and children. And if we look at the book, if you're following along at home, about page 3, there's a list of some really fabulous people. Those are the people from the Elmira Theatre Company who have been encouraging me and to write and promoting my work and producing my work, which has been fantastic. A big shout out to them. Without them, there's no way I'd be here. This play is about a couple of empty nesters who need to rekindle their marriage. So they go to a discount marriage counselor because that's what they can afford. And they're told to go to a place where they remember being in love. So they decide to go to Bare Bones Family Camp. That's where they used to take their kids camping. They arrive late that night, and they set up in the dark. And then in the morning, they wake up to discover that Bare Bones Family Campground has since become the Bare Bones Alternative Lifestyle Campground. I should say there's a lot of my marriage in this story, and a lot of my parents, even some of my grandparents, even right down to there's a mention of the proposal, how the proposal went. The proposal in this book is very accurate to my own. Actually, the guy in the book did it better than I did, so I'm a bit jealous. So this scene that I'm about to read starts in the next morning after they woke up and they discovered that it's a nudist resort. So I'll just begin. The couple's name is Norman and Ruth. Norman says, "How about some breakfast? I can't do much more until I get some food into me." "Well, I can't do much more until I get to a bathroom." "Okay, you go and I'll start airing out the trail." "Go? Go where? What are you talking about?" "Norman, I told you I need to use the restroom." "Duly noted." "Well, surely you don't expect me to use a public restroom." "Well, this is a tent trailer, so you ain't using it." "There are, naked people out there." "Honey, it's not that bad. The washrooms are a stone's throw away." "Oh, with a slingshot, maybe." "They're in Clearview. Come on, I'll take you." "Oh, we both can't go." "Why not?" "Well, we can't leave our site unattended. What if some of them got in and started touching and rubbing up against our stuff?" "Ruthie, they're people, not cats." "No, one of us has to stay here at all times." "All right, I have an idea. You get yourself on the other side of the hedge. Now I'll work as your guide." "You want me to go out there?" "It'll be okay. Just put this bag on." "But what do I do when I get there?" "It beats the hell out of me. That's one of the greatest mysteries of a man's life." "Well, this can't possibly work." "Yes, it will. You get on the other side of the hedge and I'll guide you in just like air traffic control." "The peepee's over there." "It'll be okay. I'll work as your eyes. You just get over there and bag it." "Oh, I'm not sure about this. What choice do we have?" "I'm not wearing the bag." "Your choice." "Oh, I don't know about this." "This will work, trust me. My life is in your hands." "Yeah, and one wrong turn and some other man's life could be in your hands." "That's not funny." "Ruthie, you can do this. Just listen to my voice. Are you ready?" "No." "Okay, Ruthie 1. This is air traffic control. Do you copy?" "Oh, Norman, be serious." "I'll take that as an affirmative. You are approaching runway 2. The airways are free and clear of traffic. You can approach at an appropriate landing speed. You may drop your landing gear at any time." "Actually, don't. There's enough landing gear dropped around this place already." "Oh, just get on with it." "Okay, everything appears good. Approaching target carefully. Watch your wind speed." "Oh no, Ruthie, pull up, landing, abort landing. We're having Charlie on the runway." "Oh, dude, you have the coolest games." "Oh my." "It's okay, Ruth. He's gone. You can do this." "He almost touched me." "Did you see anything?" "Well, I won't see anything until you get a crowbar for my eyelids." "You're okay, Ruth." "I think my eyelids are fused together." "All right, pilot, this is air traffic control. Approaching looks good. Your flaps are fully down." "They've been that way for years, thanks." "You're clear to approach." "That's good. Nice, very nice. Watch your wind speed. You may experience a crosswind. Steady, steady. Abort, Charlie, exiting the washroom. Charlie in the air. Retreat to home base. Repeat, return to home base. Ruthie, watch out for that tree." "Ruthie, are you okay?" Honey, Ruthie, hey, stay away from her. Don't touch her. Leave her, Ruthie. Don't open your eyes. I'm coming, hon. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was awesome. One of the things I miss in doing online events is hearing the reaction of the audience. So I'm going to assume everyone is applauding wildly from their living rooms or typing compliments into the chat bar. If you have a question for Michael, feel free to type it in and I will read it to the room. And while folks are thinking of questions, I'd like to announce that Playwrights Canada Press is having a World Theatre Day sale on Saturday, March 27th. If you head on over to our website, www.playwrightscanada.com, you will find that everything is 30% off. So we do have a first question from Steve, who says he has really enjoyed seeing some of your plays in Elmira over the years, and he's wondering if there are any new plays on the horizon.
Yes, there is. Actually, we just did a reading. I finished a play just as COVID hit, and we were talking earlier about Zoom events. And actually, I did a Zoom reading with some friends, and then we just actually did a Zoom reading for the Elmira membership. It's called Fishing for Love. It's about two couples that go to a luxury ice fishing bungalow for a weekend.
Nice. I like that. I have another question for you, and that's whether you have any advice for people writing comedy.
Advice, don't. Find something else. Really find, like, dentistry would probably be good. No, it's a rhythm, and I owe a lot of it to what learning. I've been a student of comedy my whole life. I've always studied it. I've always found it interesting what works, what makes a joke work, what doesn't, pacing, timing, all that kind of stuff. When I was in theater school, I had two roommates, Brian Coatsworth and Kevin O'Donovan, who I was just a sponge. Those are two of the funniest guys I know, other than my father. And I would just sit in the apartment and watch them. They even knew I was just sponging up the information, learning, studying the time. But it's just, yeah, study the artistry of timing and jokes and the rhythm. I love the rhythm. So that would be my advice.
Nice.
After don't.
And a final question for you is, what research did you do about nudist clubs for this play?
I knew you were going to ask. No, I've never been to a nudist club. No, I wouldn't dare. What happened was the story came from, actually, I had the idea to write shorthanded, and then events happened here in my hometown of Elmira that it just didn't feel appropriate to write at the time. So I put it on hold, and me and my wife, Sherry, just spent, I don't know, a week trying to think of the most fish out of water story we could possibly come up with. And we came up with Archie and Edith Bunker stuck in a nudist column, and that's kind of evolved from there.
Right, the rest is history. All right, well.
So it's more of a play about relationships than the nudity. The nudity is a way to entrap them and keep them there, right?
Yeah. Well, I would call it a very clever device there. All right, well, thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
That was fantastic. Okay, next up is Norman Yeung, who will be reading from Theory. Norman is a writer, actor, and visual artist. Theory won the Voden Prize and was nominated for the Carol Bolt Award. Puer received 4 Dora Mavor Moore Award nominations, including Outstanding New Play, and was a finalist for the Voden Prize. Other plays and performance pieces include The Zoonotic Story, I Know I'm Supposed to Love You, Deirdre Dear, In This Moment, and Black Blood with composer Christian Venter. Theory and Ms. Desjardins were recorded as radio drum podcasts for Play Me from CBC Podcasts. Norman was a playwright in residence at Outside the March and has been a member of playwright or creator units at the Stratford Festival, Tarragon Theatre, Fujian Theatre Company, Tapestry Opera, and Canadian Stage. As an actor, he has worked on stages across Canada. Among his many film and TV roles, favorites include Resident Evil Afterlife and Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. He holds an honors BFA in film from Ryerson and a BFA in acting and theater from UBC. Norman was born in Guangzhou and divides his time between LA, Toronto, and his hometown of East Vancouver. Norman, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Annie, and Jessica, Blake, Playwrights Canada Press, and Wendy. Thanks for this. In theory, a young professor named Isabel creates a discussion board for her class, and her intention is to have her students learn from each other by engaging in thoughtful dialogue. But a mysterious student posts messages and videos that become increasingly bizarre and dangerous, threatening Isabel's values and relationship with her wife, Lee. These events show Isabel how she can begin to become a better partner to Lee. Ultimately, theory is about empathy, listening to others, and learning. Theory was a challenge to write due to the quickly evolving social and political landscape. I wrote the first draft in 2009 when freedom of speech was still largely a liberal value, and now it's more associated with conservative values. And I wanted to keep the protagonist, Isabel, on the left side of the spectrum. So the plays evolved into exploring some of the divisions within liberalism. And now Isabel's concern isn't freedom of speech so much as it is giving voice to the voiceless. In the scene I'm about to read, Isabel has a meeting with her department head, Owen. She has already blocked the mysterious student that is disrupting her class and world, but the videos and messages are still getting sent to her. I'll start with Owen. We want you to feel safe. That's why sometimes we have to consider the student side a bit deeper. Appreciate that they're overburdened and under pressure. No matter what support system we provide, pillows, puppy room, rather not get a kid pissed off. Got to kill all grudges ASAP, just in case. Thanks? So you banned this Richard 69 from your board. Now he's emailing me, texting me from a blocked number. He left a, who is? Ricky 13, Casey Kinder, Wilhelm Wagner, but not Richard 69. Yes, no, yes, but different names. Do we have evidence they're all from him? I have to start with someone. Let's start with someone after your ban. How do I file a grievance? That could get the student expelled. Yes, it could. That's severe. That's the point. That could piss them off. Let's look at our options. Now, after the ban, do you find this material offensive? I'm a professor of critical thinking. Nothing is offensive to me. Then why'd you ban Richard 69 from your thing? He was offending other students. Since you banned him, has he been disturbing other students? I don't know. No one's complained since your ban worked. But this new problem, whoever it is, when's the last time they emailed you? Last night, the slasher pictures with Isabelle Huppert, Isabelle Adjani, Isabella Rossellini. Then I found out, so there's a relation to film. Some materials follow the syllabus, some vaguely. Gloria Steinem, Margaret Atwood, Bell Hooks, for feminist cinema. Any commentary we can think of? Something in class? If he wants to criticize a lecture, he could just say so. But we're not doing slasher movies, Spike Lee. Some images are random. I think you're to figure out the links between the images. They're speaking in montage. Oh my God. OMG, indeed. Isabel, my sons are 15. They've been carrying on conversations for months with friends where they send nothing but photos and videos, shirtless selfies in the bathroom, Michael Jordan crying. That's how they talk. You should know. You've sent a few GIFs here and there, right? He sent that video of me lecturing. He's recording me during class, like surveillance, like a dictaphone. Huh? It's a recorder that's, I know what a dictaphone is. Perhaps they're dyslexic. He is not allowed to record me without consent. That's policy. Do you want me to turn this over to the conduct officer? Turn it over to the police? I would, if it got out of hand. When is it finally out of hand? When someone gets hurt? When this? It was left outside my home. Whose knife is it? I'm not sure. Would you like to talk to the police? Would they take this seriously? From you, yes. If you're feeling you can't cope, feeling incapable, I feel fine. Threatened, we could talk to the police. That's the thing. He hasn't explicitly threatened me. You're not intimidated by this. You seem it. Tell me how. I'm here. We're talking about it. My feelings aren't why I called you here. Let's talk about what this is rather than what I seem. Maybe it's some kids in your neighborhood. Have you dealt with a formal grievance before? Grievance over whom? Richard 69, whom you only know as a bunch of megabytes. I could use your help with that. Who stopped posting after you made them persona non grata. Is he your nephew or something? Isabel, I'd advise you to let Richard 69 back on your discussion board. I won't allow his education to suffer due to your renegade social media. I won't allow him to continue posting lynchings, birth of a nation, Nazis, triumph of the will, hate images, violating students with, and you're not? I'm not sending porn, explicit fucking. What? Fucking. You showed your class Baise Moi. Your syllabus said clips. The film has no meaning in fragments. They have a right to not watch a film. They need to understand the whole context, starring porn actresses having real sex, a fair debate about feminist cinema. You keep pushing your liberal agenda so hard, someone will push back. My liberal agenda? Couldn't you have shown them Thelma and Louise? You're one hell of a prof. After our interview, I wanted to cancel the day, give you the position on the spot. Bang. I fought for you. Why? Vision. How you saw yourself motivating your students. I knew they'd be inspired by you. You're just like them, but with a PhD. You're the same generation, but you're from an older school. It no longer fits here. Your belief that anything goes and everything's valid, they would give that up in order to feel safe. And that's valid. Not everything has equal value. Some things are just dangerous. So when you show that film and you made a chat board from where? And your paper stunt, and now you want someone expelled? A student complained about you. Thank you.
Awesome, Norman. That was really lovely. I'm also missing actors on stage these days, so it's really nice to be transported, even if just for a few minutes. So now, if you have a question or two for Norman, feel free to type it in. And we have a first one already. Trudy says, I was pleased to be able to listen to Theory on Play Me. Was the process of having it released in that audio-only format an interesting one?
Absolutely. We recorded that around 2016, I think. I might be off by a year. But it was a different script then. It had not yet been produced on stage. So I had to rewrite it for radio. And that was a challenge for me because it was one of my earliest experiences writing for audio. And some things had to be, I wouldn't say spelled out, but for lack of being able to see or experience in the space actions, some things, it's purely by hearing. And yeah, that was a wonderful experience because of Laura Mullen and Chris Tolley, who are of Play Me, who did the recording, and the cast was incredible, directed by Esther Jun. The script has changed a lot since then. So in fact, yeah, this obviously is the most current draft, and due to changes in politics and society in the ensuing years from that time, there have been changes made to that script.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next question for you is, how does writing compare to acting for you?
Oh, I don't think about the two much when I'm actually acting. Sometimes I like, in other words, I'm not thinking about the writer's text. Like, I'm not judging, is what I'm saying. When I'm acting something, I'm not in judgment of the writing. It's pretty easy for me to partition the two. But I do know that my writing is heavily influenced by my acting. Case in point, certain things, like when I'm stuck on writing a scene, I just have to always remember, go back to the basic. what does this character want in this scene? And that's exactly what we do with acting.
That makes a whole lot of sense for me, who does not act at all. All right, Norman, thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was really great.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to hear from Donna-Michelle St. and Yvette Nolan, who are going to talk to us about Refractions scenes. Donna-Michelle is an MC, playwright, and arts administrator. Her work has been recognized with a Siminovich Prize nomination, a SAT Award nomination, the Voden Playwriting Award, the Enbridge Playwrights Award, a Dora Mavor Award for Outstanding New Play, and 2 nominations for the Governor General's Literary Award for Drama. She is the current artistic director of New Harlem Productions and is based in Toronto. Yvette Nolan is a playwright, dramaturg, and director. She has written several plays, including Annie Mae's Movement, Blade, Job's Wife, and The Unplugging. She has been writer-in-residence at Brandon University, Mount Royal College, and the Saskatoon Public Library, as well as playwright-in-residence at the National Arts Centre. Born in Saskatchewan to an Algonquin mother and an Irish immigrant father and raised in Manitoba, Yvette lived in Yukon and Nova Scotia before moving to Toronto, where she served as artistic director of Native Earth Performing Arts from 2003 to 2011. Yvette was recently awarded the Gina Wilkinson Prize and the Gascon Thomas Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Theatre School. And I will now ask Yvette and Donna-Michelle to tell you about Refraction scenes.
All right. Well, I'm a little starstruck, but here we go. Look at the company I keep. So here's our new book. We're really happy about it. And thank you, Jessica, Blake, Annie, and everyone else involved in the process. So the story of Refraction Scene starts a book ago with another anthology that Yvette and I co-edited called Refraction Solo. Look at that sexy thing. And this is a collection of monologues representing a diversity of practice and influence and aesthetic across Canada. And then I guess we weren't done.
Yeah, and then we thought we would actually do Refractions duets next, but Rick Knowles, the scholar, said no, please, not duets. We need scenes. Like the solo thing is good because people can use them to audition. It leads them to other works, but we in schools, in universities, we actually need scenes. So that's why we got Refraction scenes instead of Refractions duets, which would have been the or two-handers, the next thing that would have happened. And there's 36 playwrights in Refraction scenes, which is
both sides,
which is amazing because it's like we've been preparing our whole life for this change moment, right? Like people are like, I can't do any work by people, from the other communities because I can't find any. And we're like, here they are, here they are. We'll make you books. And so these are the books.
And they'll be pretty. Tonight, we wanted to share with you something, the excerpt in this book from Thirsty by Dionne Brand, which is adapted from a poem commissioned by the National Arts Centre, and we've got a scene in here. Lucky us. Dionne Brand, of course, would have liked to be with us this evening, but as award-winning as some of us are around here, Ms. Brand just won the Wyndham Campbell Prize, so woot woot and all that. We'll send energy from wherever we are to amplify that. Tonight, we're going to be reading, we're very honored to be joined by Marcel Stewart, who will be reading with us. Okay. Here we go. The scene is set in the late afternoon. The music is Lonely Woman by Ornette Coleman. 6 to 8 months after moving, the family has settled in as best they can. Alan enters. His daughter, Girl, is reading. His mother, Chloe, is sewing.
You're like your mother for that crazy music. Music's supposed to have words, and birds supposed to have wings. My mother used to swim with me in the Rio Cabra when I was in her belly. And when I was little, she took me there. We would dive into the water, becoming weightless. And some days it would rain and there would be a quiet in the grass and trees. And we would hear colonies of insects and birds. There was a road where I used to kick pebbles and dust. She would walk ahead of me a certain distance, and when she got to the hill, she would look back for me, and I would hide in the tangle, and the thought would come over me that there was a world without me. The road lit up with the red of the hills, then shadowed in trees, and I would run out quickly in case I would disappear myself, and I would run ahead of her so she could see me. You'll never be without me. Hear me? One day we'll have birds in here, hundreds.
Hundreds. Papa, there's no room. What kind?
All kinds, yellow and green ones.
No, what kind? Parakeets, tanagers, jays?
No matter, all those. Once I went out with some boys to catch birds, and I got a parrot. The way you catch a bird is you put this glue on a stick. You put nice fruit on the stick too, pineapple or banana. Then you wait, and that bird will land on the stick to get the fruit, and then it can't fly off again.
Oh, Papa, that's awful.
Don't be so squeamish. Remember my parrot, Ma? It was beautiful, but it got sick and died. Parrots pair for life, so it was lonely. It died from loneliness.
There are 4,000 species of songbirds. They have a syrinx. That's what they call the voice box of a bird, a syrinx. They have a well-developed syrinx, not like other birds.
That brain of yours. See, Ma, this girl is a talent. Anything she put her mind to, she can do.
She's a gift.
When I get a new job and when I take the pulpit from that false prophet, we will fill up the place with birds.
Oh, no, Pa. Nobody here has birds in their house.
You don't have to follow what everybody does. You be yourself. Don't let them change you. Hear me? Besides, you don't know what goes on in people's houses here. I know a man. I work with him. He has a little apartment full of snakes. Nobody knows.
Snakes. I don't think I like snakes. And Mother wouldn't like it. Where will we put birds anyway? It's too small here.
Sure she will. Who wouldn't like birds? I know her better than you. Longer. She used to love birds. And you can take care of them. You know all about them already. You and that big brain of yours.
I don't have to have birds, Pa. I just like to read about them.
Just like Julia. But you can have them too. You don't only have to think things. You can do things too. Okay then. Now, next job.
Oh, do I have to go today?
Do you have to? Do you have to? The Lord's work is never hard. Never hard. You hear me? They don't want me in their church. Am I discouraged? Am I discouraged?
No, you're not discouraged.
No, I'm not discouraged. When you do God's work, the soul gets lighter and lighter. The heart is never heavy, never heavy. Repeat that after me. When you do God's work, the soul gets lighter and lighter. The heart is never heavy.
Never heavy.
Never heavy.
Never heavy.
Here, let me fix your hair. Nice now. And you remember, eh? Your papa needs your help, like we used to when we were home, okay?
Yes, Mama Chloe.
Remember, you used to be his little soldier, remember? You go with him and see to him. See, when he gets the passion.
All right. But can't you go this time, Mama Chloe?
Well, I would, yes, but you know the place better than me, don't you? You're a gifted girl. You know everything. Different here. People might trouble him. He has a gift like you, a big brain. You mind him. When he looks tired, you tell him to come home, okay?
But Mama Chloe, I have to finish.
Finish when you get back. Your mother's working late today. You'll be back and done by the time she gets home. Don't worry. There, you're ready now.
Ready, girl?
The lights fade slowly.
Do they ever?
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Marcel.
That was just beautiful. All right, so I'm going to give folks a moment to type questions in while I remind everyone about the sale. playwrightscanada.com. 30% off on World Theater Day. All right, so I have a question for you, and that is, how did you decide what to include in the book?
All right.
We did a call, so there were a bunch of submissions. And then but we also, we see a lot of plays, we read a lot of plays, and we went after a lot of people who we knew had work burbling. And asked them for stuff so that we could have as broad a representation in the book as we do. As did I mention, there's 36 playwrights in this book.
Well, and I have to say it's been really valuable for me as a publisher, because publishing this has introduced me to new playwrights. So that, there are people who I first discovered in either this book or Refractions solo who will be getting their own, individual publication this year or next year. And it's very exciting.
We love to hear it.
Right.
We do love to hear it. That's one of the reasons why we do another round after the submission round. It's like, that's when you need to really look for who's not there and who didn't whoever didn't bring themselves to your door. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's okay to take a short walk and go looking for them, because there's reasons why people don't submit as well. So I just think that was a really important part of the process, is to look at what came in and see what we weren't seeing.
Absolutely. So we have a question from the chat, and Trudy says, do you hope to move forward with a further collection of duets, or I would add other scenes? Is there Refraction Scenes Part 2?
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't know, Annie, do we?
Yes. Sorry, I guess, I have to say yes. It's a free yes.
It feels to me like there's we are about, Donna and I went and found all of this stuff for these two. Solo was 7 years ago. Refraction Scenes just came out, but it's it feels like there is about to be this whole new sort of explosion of work by coming out of the pandemics, and I think that there'll be a wealth of work that we can take pieces of and put together in, maybe it's duets, maybe it's trios, maybe it's, I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know, Annie, what do you
happen
think?
on a boat?
I like that. Maybe it's happening on a boat. All the
plays happen on a boat.
Have to be on a boat. I can actually think of several plays that take place. Okay, I'll send you a list.
We do love to collaborate.
Refractions at sea.
But it makes me think about, Yvette, when you said 7 years, first of all, I was like, what? But also thinking about how we were looking at the monologue books that were around and being like, what's weird? That so-and-so's not in that. Yeah. You know what's weird? And I think in 5 years, we're gonna say the same thing about this book. We're gonna be like, isn't it weird that this person wasn't in it? Yeah. Somebody call Annie.
Well, the door is open, so yeah.
All right, cool. I'm inside waiting. Meet me there whenever. I'm good. I got snacks.
That's amazing. All right, Donna-Michelle.
Thanks, Annie.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Erin Shields, reading from Beautiful Man and Other Short Plays. Erin is a Montreal-based playwright. Her adaptation of Paradise Lost premiered at the Stratford Festival and won the Quebec Writers' Federation Playwriting Prize. And her play If We Were Birds, which premiered at Tarragon Theatre, won the 2011 Governor General's Literary Award. Other theater credits include Piaf Dietrich, which was a really beautiful show, just as a side note. The Lady from the Sea, The Millennial Malcontent, Soliciting Temptation, and Instant. Upcoming projects include Queen Goneril for Soulpepper, Jane Eyre for the Citadel Theatre, and Ransacking Troy for the Stratford Festival. Erin, the floor is yours. Oh, and yours.
Unmute myself. There we go. Excellent. So nice to hear plays being read. I was just sitting there listening to the previous readings and being like, oh, God, I love Canadian plays. Okay, so this is a book of 3 different plays. And all 3 of the plays in this book are about the inner lives of women, about pushing against the walls that contain us, about the ways in which we reshape ourselves to accommodate needs of others, about systems that were not created with us in mind. So first of all, there's Beautiful Man. I wrote Beautiful Man in a bleary, enraged state. Overwhelmed by the perpetual violence against women in TV, film, theater, books, everything, this play flew out of me as some sort of act of vengeance, a very gleeful sort of vengeance, which I pushed to the absolute limit. In this world, the roles are reversed. The women are the protagonists in every story, in every genre, and the men are the perpetual supporting characters. They're to enhance the journeys of the female characters and, of course, to be beautiful objects of desire. Beautiful Man features 3 women talking about a movie, a TV show, a play, and a puppet play that they've seen, while a beautiful man stands behind them, embodying all the beautiful men in all the stories. I am absolutely thrilled that when I asked Yvette and Donna-Michelle, 2 artists who I deeply admire, if they would read an excerpt from Beautiful Man with me, their response was, hell yeah. So welcome back, friends. Let's read a bit of Beautiful Man.
I'm in.
I'm in. All right. Oh, let's
You
do
son
this.
of a bitch, I'm in.
Hells yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, here we go. There's the queen.
Right. Queen Ruth.
But the peasants call her Queen Ruthless, even though she's doing the best that she can.
Yes, the crown weighs heavy on her head.
She's in charge.
She's the one who makes all the decisions. And there are so many decisions to be made, decisions that impact the well-being of her entire kingdom. I mean, it's a lot to handle.
A lot to handle, yes, but she's a benevolent leader.
Benevolent, yes, but cruel when she has to be. And sometimes she has to be cruel, especially to her husband.
What's his name?
I can't remember.
But he looks beautiful in red. So he's always wearing red. And he smiles dutifully and says things like,
"What is your will, milady?"
And his part gets bigger as it goes along. As the series goes along, he becomes a more important character.
yes, a more essential character.
But for the first 5 episodes, he's either sitting beside Queen Ruth,
Looking beautiful in red.
while her advisors bring her one problem after the next.
Or sometimes he's naked in their bedroom.
Ah, yeah, she likes to chain him up.
He likes it too. You can tell by the look on his face.
Yes, he likes it too, but it's mainly her decision because when she's stressed out, the thing that most relaxes her, that releases all tension, is to lie on her bed eating grapes and drinking wine while the king licks her toes like a dog.
Does he wear a collar?
Yes, there's some sort of collar attached to a chain.
And he's hard for it.
Yes.
The whole time he's got a boner.
And you can really see the boner because he waxes his pubic hair.
I'm not sure that part's historically accurate.
That he waxes his pubic hair?
Yeah, but you have to be able to see the boner, so I'm glad there isn't hair.
I like that they show you the boner. It makes the whole thing more real.
And I think it's really his boner.
The actors?
What's his name?
Sometimes they get a boner double if the actor is too shy. It's written into his contract.
Yes, I read an article about a man who was a boner double.
But the director.
I love the director. She's so fucking good.
The director, she insisted that the actor use his own boner, which I really just think is so brave.
Awesome. Thank you both. That was a laugh. All right. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about another play in the book. And this play is called Unit B 1717. And this piece began as a 10-minute play created with director Geneviève Blais and her company Théâtre Corps Perdu for Theatre Yes in Edmonton. And then we later decided to make it into a full piece and worked closely with translator Marie Swarda to translate the piece throughout the process. So the piece played in both French and English in a storage unit facility here in Montreal. The first part of the piece, everybody was together. And in the second part of the piece, each audience member got their own key to their own storage locker, and they experienced the rest of the play in the dark with a monolithic statue in the center full of speakers and visual surprises. This piece is about a woman who returns to empty her storage unit. Buried inside are the memories of the many moments she subjugated her own desires for those of others. All right. I feel the weight of someone sitting on the cushion above my head and see my 8-year-old legs dangling over the edge of my grandmother's couch. The air is thick with grief and flowers and the echoes of condolences. I'm sorry for your loss. Your grandfather was a wonderful man. I'd been sitting with my cousin flipping through a magazine of emaciated teenagers, but she too has left, and I find myself once again in the company of adults. My father looks lost. My mother looks either eager to go. My grandmother enters with a casserole dish. The bread pudding, she says. No one ate the bread pudding. It was his favorite, so I made it especially, but no one ate the bread pudding. Her tears bubble up again as my father takes the dish, rescuing both her and the pudding. I look at the casserole dish and its gray, mucusy content. It's burned on the sides and gelatinous in the center. I would love a piece, I hear myself say. This draws a temporary halt to my grandmother's despair. She looks at me with true gratefulness, with a look that makes me feel like myself. I am appreciated. I am needed. I am seen. My grandmother spoons out a large portion and passes it to me. The moist bread is dense and spongy, the way I imagine a brain to look. A dead brain, I think. My grandfather's brain, perhaps? The sickly sweetness competes with the other smells in the room, and my stomach turns as I stare into the bowl. Everyone watches as I take a spoonful and slide it into my mouth. I hold the slimy lump on my tongue and smile with approval. I give the thumbs up sign, afraid that if I open my mouth, it will all come pouring out. I bite down and imagine that 100 maggots are released onto my tongue, frantically squirming, trying to escape, daring me to spit them back into the bowl. I coax the writhing mass to the back of my throat and almost gag as I swallow. Only 12 more bites to go. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Truly fantastic. While we wait to see if any questions come in, I will remind you once again of the sale.
Do it. Remind us.
www.playwrightscanada.com on March 27th, 30% off. Also, we have recently instituted like a multiple discounts structure. So if you're buying more than 5 copies of a play, because you will absolutely want to buy one for all of your friends, there are also smaller discounts built in there. Okay, so I have some questions. So the first question I have is, can you give us any advice on how to harness rage into your writing?
Just get really, really angry and have a bunch of other things to do that stop you from writing, which compounds the rage. Beautiful Man, I actually ended up basically writing in my head on the 15-minute or the 10-minute walk from my child's daycare back to my house, because I'd been watching Game of Thrones and I was reeling, like, especially the beginning of that series. And I kind of like, I like the big junky things that are well made and have a lot of money in them, but also, oh my God, they're still so bad. Maybe things are starting to change, but I don't know, man. Anyway, I found myself just so full of like rage that I couldn't get it out. And so walking back from the daycare to my house, I was like, ooh, wouldn't this be fun? And yeah, that's how this play barfed out of me.
And I mean, it's like reading it or hearing it. I feel very good inside about it. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, there's like this real like, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to get you to talk about is you wrote a play during the pandemic, or it's an audiobook that has just premiered at Crow's Theatre, in a sense. So tell us about Here We Are.
Yeah, Here We Are is this, you know, like so many of you other writers out there, both sort of in this panel, but I'm sure there's people watching too, or any creative people. There was this sort of, this past year has just been so crazy. So not only sort of has our lives been sort of threatened by this thing, we've been isolated, and for so many of us, our jobs have just, you know, evaporated, and, you know, our shows were canceled, anyway, in some ways, to continue writing things I was in the process of writing, I kept banging my head against the wall. So the only thing I could write about was what we were experiencing. And this piece sort of, I've been writing it literally the entire year, using, the main conceit of it is that I'm using the collective pronoun we, and trying to imagine what so many other people are doing, failing at it as well, but trying to sort of, while being so isolated for so many different reasons in this time, really trying to reach out and sort of, radically empathize with people through this piece of writing. And so, yeah, so if you go to Crow's Theater, you can find it there. And it's this sort of bizarre way of putting something out in the world. It's a theater piece, but they've turned it into this book with these lovely little drawings. And I'm also reading it. So you could either listen to it or read it or do both at the same time.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I found it a pretty amazing way to spend an hour or so. It was sort of the collective experience of this year. Yeah. Anyways, one more question from John, who says, "Are you still managing to teach at NTS, and is it all at Zoom? And if so, what's that like for you?"
Yes, I mean, it's so interesting. I've been teaching just one course this year at NTS, and it's the 2 first-year playwrights who do an introductory course in playwriting. And they're these 2 beautiful, wonderful people who I have never met in person. And in some ways, it has been the most consistent relationship I've had through this entire pandemic is interacting with these 2 incredible playwrights and reading their work and helping foster their work. I've learned so much from them, and also just, it's kind of wild. So yes, I am, and one day I will clap eyes on them. IRL, as the kids say. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erin. That was amazing. All right. Well, the audience, sorry, I didn't move my script up. So closing out this evening is Daniel MacIvor, who will be reading from New Magic Valley Funtown. Daniel is one of Canada's most accomplished playwrights and performers. Winner of the prestigious Eleanor and Lou Siminovich Prize, the GLAD Award, the Governor General's Literary Award, and many others, Daniel's plays have been met with acclaim throughout North America. Here to share New Magic Valley Funtown, please welcome Daniel MacIvor.
Thank you. Thank you to Blake and Jessica for all you do. And, Annie, thank you so much for caring so much about books that are plays. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And greetings from Unamaki, that is colonially known as Cape Breton Island. So this play that I'm reading, New Magic Valley Funtown, is set in Cape Breton. I'll read a bit about the play from the back of the book. Dougie hasn't seen his childhood best friend Alan in 30 years, but Dougie has no doubt they'll easily reconnect when Alan arrives tonight for a visit, which ends up being a party with Dougie's estranged wife Cheryl and their daughter Sandy. But as the party progresses, shadows from Dougie and Alan's past come out to play, bringing along tough questions that have to be answered. So will read to you a scene that takes place in the second act, near just getting near to the end of the play. And it's a scene between Sandy, the daughter, and Alan, the visitor. Dougie and Cheryl are just stepping out for a cigarette, and I should just say too that Alan has brought along a DVD that he plays on the laptop of Alan and of himself and Dougie when they were kids. That comes up later. Sandy, Cheryl's macaroni and cheese. This is so good, Alan. You should tell her that. Sandy, I know. Mothers and daughters, we're all destined to play out our roles. Alan, you're a fatalist. Sandy stops eating and takes a position sitting on the counter close to Alan. Alan keeps his position. Sandy, oh my God, I'm going to cry. Thank you. My brain is so hungry for anything that isn't gossip or small talk. I'm so starved for conversation with someone who isn't from here. Alan, I'm from here. Sandy, and yet not. You know the terrain from afar, which makes you pretty much perfect. Alan, perfect? For Sandy, pretty much anything. Alan, do you have your own? Sandy, do I have my own? Alan, Sandy, uh-huh. Alan, here's what I'm like. I want to get to know any woman I meet. Doesn't matter whose wife she is, whose daughter she is, and then once I get to know her, I forget her like she never was. Sandy, well, at least you know what you're like. Maybe I'm like that too. Nothing has to get heavy. Alan, I don't do this anymore. Sandy, don't do what? Alan, act out. Sandy, is that what we're doing? Alan, it's not my business to identify what you're doing. Sandy, you have my permission. Analyze my actions. Alan, okay. Sandy, what am I acting out over? Alan, your father. Sandy, oh, are you getting Freudian? That's so disappointing. Alan, not so Freudian, more 12-step. Sandy, oh, recovery. Alan, recovery. Sandy, indicating Alan's drink. You're on hiatus from recovery? Alan, drinking wasn't my problem. Sandy, aha. Alan moves away from Sandy. Alan, and so I step away. Sandy, aha. Alan, okay. Sandy, yes, of course, it's all good, Alan, it's all good. No drama, just an open-minded, free-spirited gal here, polyamorous, polysexual, poly-want-a-cracker. No drama, all good. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Trooper, my introduction to modern Canadian poetry. Or as Queen Gwendolyn said, with legs and arms I make alphabets. So, let's say I'm a communicator. That's what I'm like. Alan, if that makes you happy. Sandy, happy. Is that the quest? Alan, if it brings you peace. Sandy, what brings you peace, Alan? Alan, that's what I'm here for. Sandy, revisiting something. Alan, yeah. Sandy, a lost childhood. Alan, maybe. Sandy, all is good, Alan, all is good. Sandy sits on the sofa and opens the laptop to watch the video. We hear the boys singing a moment. She turns the sound down so her father won't hear it outside. Sandy, this is adorable. Why didn't he want us to see it? What is he doing it that's so embarrassing? Alan, nothing on this one. This was just the first one. Sandy, the first one? Alan, the first of many. I had them all transferred. Sandy, look at him playing to the camera. Alan, you love that camera. Sandy, do you still have it? Alan, the camera belonged to the person who shot it. Sandy, who shot it? Alan, Gordon Cameron. Sandy, Father Cameron? Alan, yeah. Sandy, oh. Alan, Cameron always had the newest toys. Sandy, oh. Sandy closes the laptop. Sandy, did you go to St. Margaret's too? Alan, no, we were Baptists, but my father did the gardening in the grounds at St. Margaret's in the rectory. I worked summers with my father from the time I was 10. That's how I met Dougie. He was an altar boy. He spent a lot of time around the church and the rectory. Your father was favored by Cameron. And then so was I. Sandy, favored? Alan, trips to Funtown, to the beach, then parties at the rectory. Cameron liked to party. We'd go to the store to buy his mix. He'd let us hang around and drink. Sandy, a priest would let you drink? Alan, it was encouraged. Sandy, encouraged? Alan, oh yes. Sandy, Father Cameron? Alan, yes. Sandy, you and my father? Alan, yes. Sandy, do you know about the brothers? Alan, Jimmy and Colin McNeil. Sandy, you know about that? Alan, I do. Sandy, do you know it to be true? Alan, I do. Sandy, does my father know it to be true? Alan, he does. Sandy, is that why you're here? Alan, yes. Sandy, does my father know that's why you're here? We hear Dougie off coming back in. Why doesn't it feel like this before I smoke one? Alan, not yet.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Daniel. So we have just a few more minutes for questions. And while you're thinking of those questions and typing them in, I'd like to mention that we'll actually have another chance to hear from Daniel in person. For those lucky folks in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Daniel will be reading at On Paper Books on Thursday, April 8th. If you are in town, you can write the bookstore and ask to reserve a space inside the bookstore. It has been far too many months since I myself have been inside a bookstore, but the event will also be live streamed. And I don't want to put her on the spot, but if Jessica has a link for that event, perhaps she'll also post it in the chat.
Yeah, it's the indie bookstore. It's the only indie bookstore we have, which is very exciting to have an indie bookstore here.
Yeah, and I'm, talking to publishing colleagues just this week even, we've been really heartened by new indie bookstores opening up and getting into communities again. So it's really nice to see that. All right, so I have some questions for you. My first question is, do you prefer to write a solo play or for an ensemble of actors?
They're very different things. The solo plays are, there's an entirely different process of creation that is entirely outside the system of play creation as we know it. So that feels like it's sort of the difference between going on a hike and going to an all-inclusive. It's like, sometimes you kind of want an all-inclusive and sometimes you want to go on a hike.
Absolutely. So and there are benefits and advantages to each.
Yeah, or maybe it's like watching diving or watching baseball.
Right. For those who don't know, I am a large baseball fan. Go Jays. So we have a question in the Q&A. Trudy asks, what has it been like writing something that seems it is probably controversial in the location in which that difficult story takes place?
Well, good question. I've actually had I've been, initially back before the pandemic, there was, I had talked to someone who runs a performing arts venue here, and they loved the play, but they were nervous about doing the play. Yeah, I know it's interesting. You do a play like this in Toronto, and it doesn't have the same. I don't know. If there's something kind of nostalgic about it in some way, I think, because it's such a different world. But a play like this here is still very current and frightening for people because of the power of some of the institutions that are incriminated in it. So it's an interesting unanswerable question. It's a process. It's an ongoing process of interesting difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have one final question from Natercia, if I'm hopefully pronouncing that correctly. Natercia asks, as someone who's been around in our industry for so long, how has your process been shaped or influenced in our current racial equity seeking times in theater?
Well, I think I'm going to U of T and getting my master's, and I took a class with the amazing scholar Jill Carter, who's a theater practitioner and a scholar, and who talks very much, who has a conversation that she around land-based, palatial dramaturgy, indigenous dramaturgy, and settler dramaturgy, and trying to find a way for those things to meet. And to help one another to bring the best of both of those things together. And I do, and when talking with Jill and learning from Jill, it's funnily enough, the solo work that we've done for years, and I work with Daniel Brooks and other people on designers and producers on, has always been outside, has been somewhat unsettled and somewhat not working in the colonial way. So there was a kind of developing of a process that was actually borrowing from Indigenous knowledge all the time in terms of a kind of story weaving, as Spider-Woman Theater likes to call it, or web-based kind of a web narrative. So anyway, but on that, I would just like to say that through Cape Breton University here, I'm going to be I'm facilitating a talking circle called Listening, Bridging Indigenous and Settler Dramaturgy that will be happening on April 17th. So if you Google Cape Breton University Listening, April 17th, you'll get, I'm sorry, I don't have that information immediately available to me, but it'll be a live stream event.
Thank you. And so I'm going to let one more question sneak in because it comes from someone who I told had to ask a question, and she has complied. Anushri asks a writing specific question. Do you have a particular writing routine you follow every day?
It just that I tell you, if I don't write, I am despicable. So it's avoiding feeling despicable.
Yeah, that works. All right, Daniel, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. That is our program. So I'd like to thank our ASL interpreter, Wendy May Kirk, and playwrights and readers, Michael Grant, Norman Yeung, Donna-Michelle St. Yvette Nolan, Marcel Stewart, Erin Shields, and Daniel MacIvor, all for coming on to read. Those were some truly wonderful readings, and I'm so glad we got to share them with everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to join us, and I hope to see you all in person very soon. And stay tuned for more online readings in the near future. We're gonna do a whole bunch of these this spring and summer, and hopefully not in the fall. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have an amazing evening and rest of your week, and maybe I'll be vaccinated very soon. All right. Good night.